Hello, and welcome to another episode of our interviews for Tales of the Temple of Elemental Evil. Today, I have with me one of our excellent players, Maya. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, Maya Sperkacz here. I played Driss. She was the reborn monk / barbarian who was brought back to life against her will by her now ex-boyfriend. And as she was exploring her unlife, she moved from a path of like discipline and returning life to things and or ending things that needed to have been ended, and pursued a path of rage as she was learning how to process her this thing that happened to her.
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to ask you questions, not just about your character, but let's warm it up a little bit. So,
Sure.
Favorite Dungeons and Dragons and or polyhedral die size?
It has to be the D20.
Has to be the D20.
Yeah.
Classic. All right. Next, if you had only one snack at your D&D table, what would you choose?
I would say probably chips and guac.
Chips and guac.
Yeah.
Good. Like it. You're a magical creature of some kind in the world, and you have to have a familiar. What form does it take?
A bat.
A bat.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Okay. What's your favorite game outside of D&D?
That's a great. Oh, okay. It's called Poetry for Neanderthals.
Ah, yes.
It's a really fun one. There's an inflatable bat that comes with it, and it's kind of like Taboo. You have a card, and you can only describe the things on the card using monosyllabic words. If you use any word that is more than one syllable, the opposing team, one of the teammates gets to look at your card and then swing you over that to the bat. And it's really fun and silly.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a particular fantasy medium that really spoke to you at some point in your life, whether it was when you were a child or growing up at some point?
Like movies versus...
Yeah, it could be any media book, whether that's a movie, a story, something you saw as a kid.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that like really got to me pretty early on, but I mean like Harry Potter was something that I was reading a lot as a kid, but I think more so something that has stayed with me into my adulthood is Lord of the Rings. Just very classic, not really complicated, but just those movies, the extended versions, I can watch them once a year. Anytime I'm kind of feeling like down or whatever, it's definitely on my TV.
Okay, so that's a little bit of a warm up, just kind of get you used to answering some questions. We already told us a little bit about your character.
Mm-hmm.
How does your character in this particular world come to be an adventurer on this latest quest?
Sure. So she had been a monk in her first life, and then when she was brought back, in exploring those feelings of rage, becomes a barbarian, and I think leaves her monastery, leaves her home, leaves her family, leaves this now ex-boyfriend who kind of put all these expectations on her that she didn't ask for. In bringing her back and kind of being like, we're so excited to have you and we're so excited to see you back. And she's just sort of like, this isn't what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to let me go. I didn't ask for this. This is not for me. This has been for you. And so she decides to leave. And then I think even as I was playing her, I was realizing that she can't breathe anymore. Her life is so different. She can't really taste. She doesn't feel things the same way. She's cold all the time. She doesn't really have to sleep. She can't sleep even. It's sort of this conscious state of rest, but she's still there. And so I think there's just a lot of this feeling of what do I do with all of this anger that I have? And barbarianism is such a very physical and primal thing. And she doesn't really know what else to do with herself. So she just kind of is like, I'm going to go out and I'm going to beat up some bad guys. And it's still a very lawful and good path of I'm going to fight the evil forces, but she does it in a way that's really distinctly different from how she was trained as a monk.
Interesting. So your character encountered all of our other players, characters in this story. And at this point, depending on when this airs, hopefully episode 1 has gone by, maybe even episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any one character amongst them that Driss gravitated towards?
Definitely Swan Lake, and that was something that I think we even established like pre-filming. We had a couple of the like sort of session zeros where we were testing things out and explaining characters to each other. And Swan Lake is this character who really cares about life and sort of just tending to the living in ways that are really homey and just like very simple but very profound. Like getting together for food, gathering over, singing and dancing. And those are all still things that Driss can enjoy. And so I think in that rage, and she's like, I still have this physicality that needs to be expressed. But at the same time, like she is still choosing to live. And so having Swan Lake there, there was a really natural gravitation towards someone who's just like, I am not focused on how you should feel or how anything should be going. These are the things in life that I want to cherish. And at the end of the day, she does still cherish life. So that was a really beautiful thing to get to play with fun.
That's good to know. I wonder, there's a lot of, even though we see your character, and a lot of it is fairly deadpan. I know it's because you're playing that part. Was there any emotional bleed that came over? Because it seemed like there's a really rough past that your character Driss is dealing with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think in general, as someone who, so I practiced yoga for a very, very long time. I meditate. I'm usually a very like even keeled person, and I haven't really in my like actual life explored a lot of feelings of rage until I started boxing at some point. And I was like, oh, this feels fabulous. And there was a lot of things happening at work and things that were happening with like conflicts with friends and stuff. And I was just like, oh, okay, there's this unexpressed feeling of anger that again needs to kind of move through my body. And so getting a chance to like to have a character who plays that a lot more openly was really, really interesting because I don't do that really openly in my life. So yeah, I think there was definitely there was an inclination of I want to explore what this feeling is in a way that's still safe and still contained, but expressed in a lot more of like a raw kind of fashion.
I think that's the beauty of role-playing games. You get the opportunity to express or act or feel something that maybe you feel inside, but you don't express in public.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Say, and hopefully in a safe space.
Yeah. And that's, I mean, a credit to you and a credit to the fellow players that I was able to feel like comfortable playing this person and feel so supported because everyone was like, that's so cool. What an amazing character. And so you have that support of everybody at the table. And like you're saying, like it is a safe environment to do so. So it was a really amazing experience on my end, both to just get to play this character and then, like you said, like explore some feelings in myself that I'm like, oh, I don't really like. That's not who I am in my real life. But Driss is this person, and so she gets to react this way.
Yeah. On the subject of your other players and how awesome they are, I, as your dungeon game master, was very impressed with the level of preparedness, of coming together, of doing the session zero, and all of you really put your heart into it. Is there anything about that process that you either felt like could be better or that, you think you got well?
I think I would have loved, I mean, and schedules are so hard to coordinate just in general. I would have loved to have met in person to do a session zero because we did it, I think, like over, it was either, I think it was like Discord or something. And so I just remember like people were trying to talk and then like audio would cut out and there's that awkward, like, I don't want to talk over people, but you can't see people's faces. And so I think that would have been like, that would have just taken it to the next level. Obviously it was so great that we got to do it to begin with, but I think that would have been my like one like slight change. And then when, like, I think I agree with what you said as far as what we did well. Everybody really had a lot of feeling to and a lot of depth to their character that they brought, and genuinely just like cared. Like there's a lot of love and attention that went into building the characters, and you see that and feel that immediately because people are like, "Oh, I do care enough to create this really massive backstory or to get together to have a session zero." And I think that that's a really like. You can only do something wonderful from there because it's a wonderful foundation to start from.
Awesome. Were there any moments in the game that we played through thus far that were either stood out to you as being like your favorite moment? One of the questions I had asked Juan was if you were, and I don't remember if you specifically had, but was there a scene that you had proposed or kind of shaped in the game?
There was a scene where we were speaking with someone, I believe it was at the inn, and it was a character that was like kind of shady, definitely hiding some stuff. I think there was like something with like his mouth that he wasn't being super forthcoming about. But Driss like gravitated towards that character because she was like, well, I have this thing that I'm hiding, that I'm this undead being. 'Cause she doesn't really go around. I mean, like not go around being like, hey, I'm dead. Like, nice to meet you. So there was an immediate gravitation in that case. And then I think that was also the same scene where Driss and Swan Lake got to do the little like taste testing for the peppers. And it was such a sweet little moment of like, we talked about this in our character build and we talked about that in session 0. And now we have this moment of, okay, we're shopping together. And like, what is she really paying attention to? And it's something spicy that she could taste because her taste buds are all like gone pretty much. But Swan Lake we talked about how he specifically will make the spiciest of dishes for her because that's something that he wants to do for her so that she can taste and enjoy food. And so that was just like a really silly thing. And in a moment where Driss was already feeling kind of at least intrigued by the person behind the counter of just like, you have something going on that you're not really being upfront about. And so do I. And so there's that feeling of like, like recognizes like.
Yeah. Very cool. I don't know if we'll ever see that character again, but they're probably more important than just a shopkeeper.
Yeah, that seemed accurate.
Let's see. Are there any questions that you had for me? We're at this point, we've reached a moment, a cliffhanger in the game. Is there anything that wasn't clear or that you'd be curious about? Because we had to do it in a vignette form. Right? There's no way to go through such a massive dungeon in a short period of time that we had. So we had to tell stories of how we got here.
I think the thing I'm curious about is there a place in the temple or in town or anything that you like really wanted us to get to that we just like either missed entirely or we just like didn't have time to get to that you were like, oh, this would have been really cool?
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Well, I really liked our session 0 with the moat house.
That was fun.
I know it was not recorded and it'll just have to live on in our memories.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of the temple itself and the environs, there may have been some more places within the outer city of Nulb, but I have to, again, make a pastiche of it almost. I'm like, this is a crappy place and everyone's really miserable. When we got to the temple, it would have been very cool to showcase some of the other quadrants, but most of it is at this time period abandoned. Okay. And we left out all of the potential digging through the temple to figure out which corridor actually has some activity as you get down there. And we also had to cut short the upper level just for time's sake, although I think it worked out really well without giving away too many spoilers about the very near encounter you had with all of the temple guards, and we found out it wasn't abandoned.
Oh yeah, we definitely panicked at that point. We're like, we gotta go.
Yeah,
cool.
So there's moments like that I would like to have strung out longer. And the other thing that I really would have liked in what we had was to have more NPC interactions. They take a lot of time, but they are so much fun.
They're very rich. I was like, I felt that I didn't feel bad, but like you're definitely very conscious of time, especially when you're on camera. You're like, okay, do I spend this much time talking about a pepper seed with Skype behind a counter? And I was like, no, but this is fun.
It was good. And you're right. That was a great little interactive scene. You guys got to, a little shopping. And also it was episode 1. So it was an opportunity to introduce the world. Right.
Definitely.
Okay. What else? I wanted to ask, now that we've talked about the game, maybe we jumped around a little bit, but I wanted to ask about your experience with Dungeons and Dragons. How long have you been playing?
It's about 2 years now.
Okay. So still relatively new.
Pretty new, yeah.
Did you have any experiences with either other types of role-playing games?
Nope.
No.
Nothing. Yeah, no, walked to the D&D and was encouraged by some friends. They were like, I think you really like this. And I was like, okie doke.
Did you have any kind of theater background?
Nope.
Nope.
No, not good. Walked in and then realized that it probably was always going to be a thing. Like it felt very like destined to work out. Like we walked in and it was like a group of 3 on like my end, and then we had another group of friends on the other end, and 7 of us came together to make a party, and then we fell in love immediately with the game and with the whole group, and so we stuck together week after week for about like the first 8 months of me playing. So it just sort of again felt like, where has this been all my life?
Yeah.
And then since then have been like taking some improv classes. I do want to like take some acting classes at some point. That's, I think, it's been put on the back burner for now as I have started to DM.
Yes. And we'll have a whole separate interview about that.
Very fun.
I think that's most of what I wanted to ask you. I'm just going to end with... I'm going to lose my train of thought here. But I'm just going to say, at this point, thank you very much to all of you wonderful people for tuning in. Thank you to Lost City for being one of our first outside of J. Wakefield locations and sponsoring us. And tune in next time for Tales from Temple of Elemental Evil. Bye.
Cool.
Yeah.
Alrighty. We did it.
We did it.
That was good.
Yeah.